Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Rankin,
Here.
Here.
Councilmember Celaya,
Here.
Councilmember Hawkins,
Here.
Councilmember Montano,
Here.
Councilmember Walter,
Here.
Councilmember Woolridge.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight's invocation will be performed by Bishop Brian Michael of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Our dear Father in heaven, we are grateful for the blessing it is to be able to meet together in a town council meeting this evening. We are truly thankful for the blessing of the freedoms that we enjoy, for the men and women who are fighting for our freedoms in the military, and pray that Thou will bless and protect them and their families. We are thankful for all those who serve here in the community and in the nation, and pray for Thy blessings to be with them. Especially at this time here in the community, we are grateful for the men and women who serve diligently and put a lot of time and effort into their positions and responsibilities. And we're grateful for Lisa Garcia and the time and the years that she put into her service here. And pray that I will bless her in the years to come as she retires. We pray at this time, as there are a lot of action items on the agenda, that they'll be addressed in a efficient manner, and that decisions will be made for the good of the community and for the residents, and that will allow Florence to continue to grow and prosper and be appealing to those who are looking to reside elsewhere, that they'll look towards Florence and see the value and the benefits that are here. These blessings we pray for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Would we all stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? And Becky, will you lead us? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Becky. Before we get to call to the public, the Vice Mayor has something he would like to say, and I think it's very appropriate.
First of all, I had the honor and privilege of going to Mesa this last week for a preservation conference. During that conference, the governor gives away a top award for preservation. Ladies and gentlemen, Florence Second Courthouse got the top award. Thank you.
Now we go to call the public for public comment on issues within the jurisdiction of the town council. Council rules limit comment to 3 minutes. Individual council members may respond to criticism made by those commenting, may ask staff to review a matter raised, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the council shall not discuss or take action on any matter during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. I have no slips for call to the public. Does anybody in the public like to come forward? Please come to the podium. Seeing none, we'll close call to the public. Lisa?
Item number 6, motion to adjourn into Merle Ranch Community Facility District Number 1 Board.
Make a motion to adjourn to Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 1 Board.
A second.
We have a motion and second to adjourn to the Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 1 Board. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item 6A, public hearing to receive public comment on the Merle Ranch Community Facility District Number 1 budget, and for discussion and possible adoption of resolution number MRCFD 124-13, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Merle Ranch Community Facilities District Number 1, Florence, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2013-14.
Becky?
to have a public hearing to receive citizens' comments on the property tax levy and the budget. Our property tax levy consists of $3.25 of an ad valorem levy for debt service on the district's general obligation bonds. There's 30 cents levy for administration of the districts, for a total of $3.55 per $100 of net assessed valuation. The levy covers the debt service that has for the GO bonds that have been issued. In the budget this year, though it does not fall under expenditure limitation, the total expenditure proposed for CFD number 1 is $3,728,283. And this is for any bonding that will occur, the debt service, and the administrative expenditures.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone for the public have any questions of it, or like to make any comments? Does any member of the council have any questions? Seeing no movement from the public, I'll close the public hearing.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number MRCFD1-124-13.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the MRCFD 1-124-13 resolution. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item 6B, public hearing to receive public comment on Merle Ranch Community Facility District Number 1 property tax levy. And this will be the second reading of ordinance number Merle Ranch Community Facility District Number 1, 110-13. An ordinance of Merle Ranch Community Facilities District Number 1, Pinal County, Arizona, levying the assessed valuation of the property within the Community Facilities District subject to the taxation of a certain sum upon each $100 of valuation sufficient to raise the amount estimated to be received from the funds for the community facility expenses for the fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2014. First reading was held on June 3rd, and we will be putting this ordinance before council on the July 1st meeting for adoption.
This is just the first reading, is that correct?
This is a public hearing and then the
Just a public
second
hearing.
reading.
Public hearing, second reading. Becky?
Yes, the amount on the secondary ad valorem tax for debt service is estimated at $435,426. The administrative portion, which is 30 cents per $100 of net assessed valuation, is estimated at $40,193 for a total levy of $475,619. And again, the first ad valorem is to pay for debt service of the district for the general obligation bonds.
Okay, at this time, I open the public hearing. Any member of the council have any questions? Any comments? Seeing no movement, I'll close the public hearing. We don't need a motion on that, correct?
That's correct. Item 6C, resolution of the Merle Ranch Community Facility District Number 1, number 125-13. Discussion and possible action of a resolution of the District Board of Merle Ranch Community Facilities District Number 1 approving and authorizing the execution and delivery of the 6th Amendment and waivers, Assessment Area Number 6, Units 2 and 9A for district development. Financing participation and intergovernmental agreement, Merle Ranch Community Facilities District Number 1, authorizing and ratifying the giving of notice of a hearing within respect to approving a feasibility report which includes identifying the public infrastructure of the projects, the area to be benefited, the expected method of financing, and the systems of providing revenues to operate and maintain the projects, all as provided in such report. Approving such feasibility report and resolving the intent therefore, ordering the work with respect to thereto, and approving the assessment diagram and method of assessment with respect to the assessment area 6, providing for the levy of the related assessments.
Becky?
Yes, unit number 2 and 9A is in Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District Number 1, and it will be assessment area number 6. The proposed assessments are related to local improvements within the assessment area. This property is also levied in the general ad valorem for the regional improvements. Unit 2 and 9A are new sub-districts of Merrill Ranch, and they consist of 26.28 acres. Unit 2 is located off Patriot Way, south of Sun City Community Center, and Unit 9A is along Independence Way between Spyglass Drive and Huntington Drive. The total cost of improvements within this district is $831,674. Each owner will be assessed $3,500 per lot. The total assessment is estimated at $413,000, Unit 2, $126,000, and Unit A, $287,000. The bonds are a 25-year maturity, with the first year being interest only and the principal amount amortized over the remaining 24 years. The average annual payments will be around $330. They're billed twice a year. Once is a portion of the principal, with half of the year's interest and an admin fee, and then the second billing is the second half of the admin fee and a half year of interest. This assessment area is also being handled under the new provisions of the state law, where we actually do not go to bonding yet.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number MRCFD 125-13.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number MRCFD 125-13. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn from Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 1 Board.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn from Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 1 Board. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Make a motion to adjourn to Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 2 Board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn to Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 2 Board. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item 8A, public hearing to receive public comment on Merle Ranch Community Facility District Number 2 budget and discussion and possible action of resolution number MRCFD 224-13, a resolution of the Board of Directors of Merle Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2, Florence, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2013-14.
District Chair and Board, again, this is Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2. The rate of $3.55 per $100 in net assessed valuation on a secondary property tax levy. The budget has been set forth at $3,875,860, and we are going to be levying $3.25 per $100 of net assessed valuation for the debt service for the general obligation bonds, and that's estimated at $332,414. And then the 30 cents per $100 of net assessed valuation, estimated at $30,684 for the operations and maintenance of the district, for a total of $363,098. Again, we do not fall under expenditure limitation on the districts, but we are required to submit a budget.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Does a member of the audience have anything they'd like to ask any member of this council? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number MRCFD 224-13.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution MRCFD 224-13. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item 8B, public hearing to receive public comment on Merle Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2 property tax levy, and the second reading of ordinance number MRCFD 209-13, an ordinance of the Merle Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2, Pinal County, Arizona, levying the assessed valuation of property within the Community Facilities District subject to the taxation of a certain sum of each $100 of valuation sufficient to raise the amount estimated to receive from funds for the Community Facility District's expenses for fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2014. First reading was held on June 3rd, 2013, and staff will be bringing this item back for consideration and possible adoption at the July 1st meeting.
Becky?
Yes. Again, District Chair and Board, the total estimated levy, $363,098, $3.25 per $100, a net assessed valuation estimated at $332,414 for debt service, and $30,684 will be levied for the operating expenses.
This time I'll open the public hearing. Any member of the public have anything you'd like to ask? Member of the council? Seeing no movement, I'll close the public hearing.
Make a motion to adjourn from Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 2 Board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn from Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 2 Board. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to a special meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn to a special meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Lisa?
Item 10A, public hearing to receive citizen comment on fiscal year 2013-14 budget and for discussion, approval, disapproval of resolution number 1397-13, a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2013-14.
Mayor and Town Council, there have been no changes made to the budget. The estimated expenditures for this year are $47,450,289.
This time I'll open the public hearing. This on our town budget for this coming fiscal year. Any member of the audience? Seeing no movement, any member of the council?
I have one thing I'd like. I'll direct this to Mark. I believe on the North End framework plan, it states that we're going to budget $600,000 a year for the next, well, for 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, and 18, 19. We'll go down to 200,000 on those years. Anyway, it totals up to $2.5 million. It says this is increased funding. Is this above the Clomar-Lomar work that we've already funded, or what's?
Member Hawkins, Mayor, Council, if I may. The funding that is indicated for what we call Territory Square now, which started off at the North End Framework Vision Plan project, we went from the stage of developing the vision plan to carrying out the implementation strategies in the vision plan, including the development of a zoning district, the general plan amendment, and now we're doing a CLOMAR, which is a conditional letter of map revision for the entire site. That is the preliminary engineering and survey work that's needed that you present to FEMA to pursue with later steps that actually take land out of the floodplain. Money that we've allocated right now in a contract last year with Wood Patel is to perform a CLOMAR for the entire Territory Square site, and also to go to the LOMAR stage on a 40-acre piece of land that the town owns across the street here from Town Hall. That 40-acre site is preliminary, currently been identified potentially as a site for a library or recreation building. It could also end up being used for private development, however we want to use it. The remainder of the amount that we've allocated for this coming year, so the amount in this coming budget year is to pay the remainder that's due all that contract for the Clomar and Lomar, primarily to get the 40 acres ready, but it also allows us to do the dirt work on that property, because when you do the Clomar, that tells you that you have to move the soils onto the property to raise the elevation of that property, grade it out, do an as-built, get a survey of that, present that back to FEMA, and show them that the work was done according to the initial engineering plans, and then get the letter of map revision that actually changes the FEMA floodplain map. Then we have a 40-acre piece that is ready to be either developed with municipal services or marketed to the private sector as a 40-acre site that is out of the floodplain, infrastructure ready, part of a master plan. The additional funds, should council be willing, could be allocated in future years to take more of our land out of the floodplain, going all the way to the Lomar stage. The town of Florence is the primary landowner in the Territory Square project. We have about 300 acres. When we bought that land, since it's all sitting in the floodplain, primarily is either good for just natural open space or agricultural purposes. The intent of all this effort is to, along with the other property owners, get at least about 60% or so of that land in a developable state, and the remainder of it actually can be developed for passive and active recreational purposes, including the linear park along the Gila River. Mayor and Council, you have not committed to spending the additional funds for Territory Square beyond the 40-acre piece. So although we're putting money in the CIP, saying we can take additional land out of the floodplain and have it ready to develop, or to sell that land, or to lease that land, whatever we want to do. To be able to do so, we would have to come back to you to allocate the expenditure of that money. So that would be a completely new decision, should you want to decide to have more than the 40 acres ready for development in subsequent years.
This will actually, some of this money will actually go to the dirt work, I mean the actual work, or is this strictly engineering?
Mayor and Council, yes, actually the money that we are allocating in the contract from last year, and then also the remainder of the 600 that we're looking at for 13-14 is actually doing all of the engineering and survey and physical dirt work, biological study, cultural study, soil analysis, testing for the quality of the soil and the compaction rates of the soil. That is doing everything to end up with a 40-acre pad across the street that we will have for development.
Thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I have a question. How much did we spend on the last study on this property?
We spent the initial amount to do the framework study. Yes. And then we created the form-based code for the property, and now we're actually implementing that and doing the physical work. I don't have the contract amounts of those, but those were all amounts that were approved in the budget, and those contracts were awarded, and ultimately the projects were unanimously approved. And I guess the concern has been raised that there are other benefactors of this work, but keep in mind that without doing this effort, we have 300 acres that were not developable for any practical purpose. The other property owners benefit by that, but we in turn benefit by that because the land has been able to be comprehensively planned, so that you have the linear park feature from 79 to Plant Road along the Gila River, and you also have created the opportunities for the expansion of the properties that Harold Chris represents in the winery on one side to the properties that the Ludden family owns on the other side.
So have any money's been put into this, or any studies on this property, other than town monies?
At this point, the private property owners have not contributed to the plan, but they will contribute because to take their properties now to the Lomar stage, Vice Mayor, members of the council, they actually will have to do all of the engineering to take the property to the Lomar stage, which is, again, changing it on the FEMA maps, and they will have to move all the soil and do all the compaction and do the as-builts and get the Lomars. They will have to build all the roads, put in all the water lines, put in all the sewer lines, do everything to make their lands development ready. So they have a huge contribution that will come at some point. Also be looking at conceivably the extension of major roadway infrastructure, such as the frontage road that would go from 79 to Plant. That would be done probably in concert, because that's goes on town property, but also private properties. So down the road, I would expect that there will be probably some interest in doing some development agreements that would talk about these commitments that have to be made, and potentially look at financing districts and the like.
And in doing this study, how long will this study be active? I mean, what I'm getting at is, if you look at this down the road, it looks to me like it's a long time before we're going to be building anything down there. So how long will this stay in effect? Will we have to do another study down the line?
Mayor,
Or will this stand?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, the vision plan doesn't change, the zoning district doesn't change. The Clomar approval, once we have that approval from FEMA, unless they do something drastic and they decide to universally change all their provisions for determining floodplain districts or floodplain districts in this region, that Clomar will stand indefinitely.
Is the Army Corps of Engineers involved in this at all?
The Army Corps of Engineers has done an initial review. They've been looking at it for the purposes of the 404, and tentatively they've agreed with our delineation of where that would stand. There have been no major issues identified as far as Army Corps of Engineers 404, cultural, biological, soil studies. So everything is really looking quite excellent. So there's no reason why the Clomar would not stand, particularly once you go to that first phase and you start implementing the Clomar by means of a Lomar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tara?
My question was originally for Charles, but possibly the fire chief. Could you help me out with this one? In the budget, we have positions slated for battalion chiefs, battalion chief, fire marshal, and a firefighter. In looking at servicing the Anthem area of Florence, what are we doing in terms of getting a fourth person on that truck? 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we're actually looking at service levels right now and moving manpower to accommodate that right now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other member? Mark, I'm going to go back to what you've been talking about. This is not a study that we're doing. This is actually will be implementation. We're going to start turning dirt.
Mayor, members of the council, yes, we're actually doing real work, and we'll be physically moving dirt on the property, which is the beauty of the plan, that it was not just a fun planning exercise, which it was in itself, but actually it is a real plan that is being implemented, and we will have part of the fruits of that labor in the near future.
The other thing, as we talk about our budget being $47 million, and we've talked about it, we have a lot of capital projects that have been on the books for a long time we're going to be trying to take care of. We have the final say, staff doesn't, on what projects go forward and everything. Anything over $24,999 has to come to us for our approval. So before any of these projects that were slated during the budget session come up and we decide to put them off, we have that right to do that. Remember, the majority of these were all on the CIP plan that had been set in place by this council and prior councils. So I feel comfortable. And Becky, I'm going to ask you, are we going to be able to generate the majority of the revenue to cover this year's budget without any further ado?
Yes, and you have to remember, this is a budget. It doesn't mean that every cent is going to be spent. We are under home rule expenditure limitation, And we try to provide a budget to cover everything during the year, so we will not ever get penalized for going over our budgeted amount.
I know this was the first year that we haven't had a budget committee work on it. That was strictly staff presented it to us. I'm not too sure if I like that. I think that there should be a budget committee working. I'm going to impress that upon the town manager next year, that this happens. So, and we will be adopting the budget.
Session is for a public hearing as well as the final adoption of the budget
At this time?
at this time.
Okay. Any other member of the council or any member of the public have anything on the budget? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. We need a motion to
I'll
approve.
make a motion to approve resolution number 1397-13.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 1397-13. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn from the special meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn from the special meeting. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item 12, public hearings and presentations. Item 12A, public hearing to receive public comment on property tax levy for the town of Florence and for a second reading of ordinance number 596-13, an ordinance of the town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, levying excess valuation of property within the town of Florence, subject to taxation of a certain sum of each $100 of valuation sufficient to raise the amount estimated to be received from the funds for general municipal expenses for fiscal year ending the 30th day of June, 2013.
Who's going to handle it? Becky?
Yes. Mayor and Town Council, the Town of Florence levies a primary property tax annually. The rate that was levied last year was $1.0517 per $100 of net assessed valuation. The current property tax rate is $1.0963 per $100 of net assessed valuation to raise the same amount of property tax levied last year. That's indicative of a little bit lower property value. The need to increase the property tax over the prior year requires a truth in taxation hearing. And the proposed property tax levy for this year is $814,526, which includes a new construction of $29,456, or 2% over the current year levy. You're only allowed to levy 2% over the prior year's levy. The town levies an ad valorem or secondary property tax for Merrill Ranch streetlight improvement districts, but due to having adequate funds, there will be no levy this year. The amount that is in excess of last year or increase of last year will be $2.19 per $100 of net assessed valuation.
At this time, I'll open the public hearing on our tax levy.
Mayor, I would like to make one note on the reading of the agenda. That is for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2014. The agenda does read 13, but it should be 2014.
15 slashes. Any other comment from the public? Any comment from the council? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Item 12B, public hearing and discussion, approval, disapproval of forwarding a recommendation to the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control on Abel Quayle Holly's Dollar General Store number 7336, application for a new Series 10 liquor license located at 495 North Pinal Parkway, Suite 10, Florence, Arizona. Mayor, members, and council, the staff did receive a request for a liquor license, and the license has been properly posted for the 20-day notice as required by law. This is a Series 10 license, which would allow for both beer and wine to be sold off-site. The applicant could not be here tonight. They are providing liquor licenses to all of the Dollar General statewide, and they had other public hearings to be at tonight. If council has any question or requires the applicant to be present, they have requested a continuance. If the council does not have any questions and would like to proceed forward, they do request that you proceed forward.
Fine. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on the liquor license at the Dollar General store. Any member of the audience have any questions? Any member of the council have any questions or concerns?
I'm wondering, on the paperwork here, it says, Abel Claire Holly's Dollar General Store, application for a new Series 10 liquor license for future Super Stop location at 495 Pinal Parkway, Suite 10. Is that the new gas station they're building, or is this going to the dollar store?
This is going to the dollar store, so is that on your RCA or your request for council action?
Yes.
It's right there.
Agenda item number 12B.
Yeah.
Okay, I do not, oh, okay, I see it. No, that should not be there. This is for the Dollar General, and the Dollar General's location is store number 7336, and it is the correct location. Okay?
Is the address correct?
The address is correct. And the liquor license number is correct.
Is the person here that represents the dollar store?
The person that is representing the dollar store could not be here tonight. They're actually attending a meeting in Casa Grande, a public hearing. They have stated if they have questions and they require answers to those questions, they will ask for this item to be postponed and brought to another council meeting. If the council can proceed without having any questions answered, they would ask that you proceed tonight.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Need a motion?
Make a motion to forward approval to Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second to forward to the Department of Public Safety recommendation of approval for Abel Claire Holly's Dollar General Store at 7336 here in Florence. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 12C will be put down later in the agenda.
Item 12D, presentation by the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce recognizing the business of the month.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Susan Caresses, this would help.
There you go.
There I'm not big enough, Tom.
Lisa, we're going to have to get a footstool for her
Yeah,
next
give me
meeting.
a booster. Susan Caresses, the Executive Director for the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce, and it's with great pleasure this evening that we have selected the business of the month for June, and we have selected this very lovely family, Dennis, Yvonne, and their children from Supply 29. And we would like very much to let you know how much we appreciate you. They support us and have for many years. They attend our luncheons, they attend our functions, and this is part of what we look for in the business of the month. So without any further ado, I would like very much to present this plaque to you in our appreciation for everything you do. And may I show you this? I think it's very nice. Here you are, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Mark,
much.
you going to get a picture?
Yes, we're going to get a picture, but they'd like to say something first.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tiana Jenkins, and I'm Dennis and Yvonne's oldest daughter. I had the great idea to volunteer and read this speech, and they actually took me seriously, so here I am. The Florence Chamber has helped us to learn and grow through our years in business. I greatly appreciate every smile they have shared with us and every encouraging word they have helped to guide us through the tough times. I would like to thank you for the recognition Supply 29 is receiving tonight and for allowing us to be present and receive this award during your meeting. When we started this business 6 years ago, we put everything we had into it: tears, money, time, smiles, and our heart and souls. I would have never imagined that eventually we would pull away from the franchise and become independent. Today, Supply 29 is a local family-owned business that can help you bring your paper to life while saving you up to 50%. Let us worry about what cartridges you need and when you need them without a contract and still having everything 100% guaranteed. We would very much appreciate the opportunity to earn your business and your friendship. Thank you again.
Well, thank you. Thanks for bringing them to our attention. I appreciate it.
You probably should have taken the time to tell people where your business was while you had a free commercial.
Well, come back here.
Location,
Come on. Yeah, come here,
location,
Mom.
location.
Actually, that was my daughter wrote that.
Okay.
So she's 15, and I thought she did a very good
Well,
job.
so she did do
She
a
likes
good
to write.
job.
This is my 10-year-old, so she's a little
Where's
shy.
your business at?
We are in Casa Grande.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Item 13, consent. All items on the consent agenda will be handled by a single vote unless a council member or member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. Item A, ratification of an application for a wine festival license and a wine license for the Windmill Winery to hold a wine tasting at the Freedom Festival at Heritage Park on July 4th, 2013, from 4 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Item B, resolution number 1401-13, adoption of a resolution for the town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, adopting a service agreement between SmartWorks Plus, Inc. and the town of Florence, effective 7/1/2013, for a 5-year term. Item C, authorization to enter into an employment agreement with town manager Charles A. Montoya. Item D, authorization to enter into an employment agreement with town attorney James E. Minato. Item E, authorization to enter into an employment agreement with town magistrate Catherine Kaiser. Item F, appointment of Judy Hughes to the Florence Industrial Authority Board with a term to expire December 31st, 2013. Item G, authorization to award the purchase of fire equipment for a new ladder truck to L.N. Curtis in the amount not to exceed $118,883.03. Item H, authorization to purchase extraction equipment for the new ladder truck to Municipal Emergency Services, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $100,245. Item I, ratification of fiscal year 2013 Operation Stone Garden grant application submitted June 7, 2013, and adoption of resolution number 1404-13, a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, pertaining to the submission of projects for the consideration in the State of Arizona Department of Homeland Security. Item J, approval of the May 13th and May 20th, 2013 Town Council minutes. Item K, receive and file the following Board and Commission minutes. I, November 28th, 2013 Historic District Advisory Commission minutes. 2, March 20th and April 17th, 2013 Joint Use Library Advisory Board minutes. And 3, the February 7th and 21st, 2013 Planning and Zoning Commission minutes. Mayor and member of council, those are the items as listed on your consent agenda.
Does any member of the council or the public have anything they'd like taken off the consent agenda?
Item A.
Item A. Any other? Need a motion?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda with the removal of item A.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to remove the consent agenda with the exception of item A. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item A. Tom?
My question on item A is, this is Heritage Park. My question on that, is that the whole park?
It is in accordance with the map that was submitted. on the very last page. Which means that if you read the rules as for a wine distributor in a wine fair, what they allow for them to do is to do a wine tasting, and then they can purchase the wine and leave the site with it. And so they are going to be able to leave their site with that wine and walk that wine back to their car. That will all be acceptable. If
The only question I have is, according to the map I have here, this is showing the entire park.
Ray, are you going to be doing a very specific wine garden that will only allow for alcoholic consumption within the wine garden?
Yeah, absolutely. Vice Mayor Smith, Mayor, members of the council, thank you. I apologize for the mistake on the paperwork. We will be having a small area cordoned off for a wine garden, approximately 50-foot area square, where staff from the Windmill Winery will be there, obviously doling out samples and selling their wares in there. That'll be monitored by staff there. We'll have a fenced-off area. They will be allowed to purchase some whole sales to be taken to their vehicles. As you know, glass containers and bottles and stuff are not allowed in the park, so those people won't be allowed to, if you will, carry wine bottles around the park. And
Just has to be in that wine section where they're going to fence off, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, it just didn't show it here in the map, and that's why I wanted to make sure of that, that's all. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we need a motion.
Like a motion to pass on the consent agenda, item A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass consent item A. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Item 14, unfinished business. Discussion, approval, disapproval of the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the Arizona State Department of Transportation for design of a roundabout at the intersection of State Route 287 and State Route 79B. Mr. Knudsen will be handling this item.
Jeff?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you recall, on the June 3rd Town Council meeting, Council directed staff to renegotiate the terms of the IGA with ADOT regarding the design of the intersection at 287 and 79B. Happy to report that we were able to negotiate the contract with a great degree of success. The three concerns that Council stated at the June 3rd meeting was with respect to the obligation for the town to pay for the construction of the improvements at that intersection. The second one would be the obligation for the town to pay for the maintenance of the intersection in perpetuity, and the third one being the liability that would be tied to the town with respect to the improvements made at that intersection. The progress that was made through the negotiations was that we are no longer, the draft that you have in front of you this evening no longer obligates the town to pay for the construction improvements at that intersection, and it no longer obligates the town to pay for any maintenance tied to that intersection in perpetuity, as was the case in the last draft. We do have, with regard to the liability, there was some language that we had requested to be removed, and were not afforded that opportunity. However, in discussions with our attorney, Mr. Minato, we feel we're in pretty good shape with regards to the liability that this obligates us through this IGA. Keep in mind that because even though that this contract does not obligate the town to pay for the construction and maintenance of that intersection, that is a decision that's going to have to come before council, whether it be next year or in 2 years, to see how we want to handle that situation at that time once the design is completed. We fully assume that ADOT's not going to have any dollars for the improvements of that intersection. So, if the town wants to see something occur construction-wise in the short term or the next few years, then we're going to have to assist financially with that approach. But again, this contract does not obligate us to do that, and we can make that decision at a later date. You'll see within the IGA itself, we did ask that the council, if so inclined, to make a stipulation with regards to the approval, allowing the town manager to make any type of last-minute negotiations with regards to this IGA. If for some reason we are able to get the ADOT to make some changes with the liability language, we're going to give it one last shot, and if you would afford the town manager that authority, that would be recommended by staff. The last thing I'd like to leave you with in this brief presentation is the necessity for the council to take action on this item this evening or this week at the very latest. If these dollars are not obligated through the execution of this agreement, the $603,000 will be lost by the region and by Florence. So we have until the end of this month to take action on this IGA. Otherwise, we do lose the funds. So, with that, Mayor, if so inclined, I can take any questions you may have.
Do you have any discussion?
I'd like to, the way I read it, are we obligated, okay, if we go along with this study, because this is going to be a roundabout, right?
The likelihood of the design to be around, it's very likely that the design will result in a roundabout. However, the engineer is going to go into the situation looking at the best design to take into account the 6 or 8 different access points that are tied to this intersection. So it very, very likely would be designed as a roundabout, is the short answer.
Okay, and then if we go along with this tonight, then we're obligated to stay with the roundabout. We won't have any choice to any other alternative. Is that the way I understand it?
What the IGA does is it provides funding that we've had earmarked for the town through CAG for the design of that intersection. So we're going to be bringing in a design team to design a solution for that intersection.
Yeah, the state's going to do the designing. The way I read it,
the state's going to contract with a third party, a private firm, to conduct the design at that intersection. Yeah.
So what we have basically sitting on our back is the liability. Is that correct? I'd like to ask Mr. Renato if he would.
Yeah, let me. Jim, would you like to handle that question, please?
Thank you, Vice Mayor Smith and members of the council. Having been relieved of the responsibility to perform the construction work, if any, or the maintenance, then it's my opinion that the only area of potential liability we're left with is in the design. As I understand this IGA, the design and engineering work will actually be carried out by someone that's an independent contractor of the state of Arizona and the Department of Transportation. And as Mr. Knudsen stated, we were unable to persuade them that we didn't want to be placed in that position as a consequence of receiving the grant monies, but they were not willing to amend that provision. So as I say, there is the potential for some liability relating to the design, but it should be remembered that municipalities and subdivisions of the state are immunized by Title 12 of the Arizona Revised Statutes, so long as the engineering work is done in accordance with accepted design and engineering standards applicable at the time of the engineering work, then generally speaking, we are not subject to any liability therefore. So presumably the town will endeavor to make sure that whoever is tasked with doing the design work does it properly and in accordance with accepted engineering standards for this time, and we should have, therefore we should have no problems.
My second question goes to Public Works. My question here is, to me that's a small intersection. Will there be enough room to put a roundabout in there that will handle the semi-trucks that come through there?
Yes, it will. Mayor Rankin, Vice Mayor Smith, basically the current situation out there is that if one utilized the existing road bed, you have a 200-foot diameter roundabout in place already. I anticipate that they'll basically use the existing road bed and then adjust the design for the elevation difference, probably attributed to the skid canal that crosses Highway 79. The tangents or the 7 intersections and 8 intersections that go into intersection at this point in time will be modified to allow the proper tangency of the roadway approaches. Major trucks will have the ability to maneuver hopefully a 14-foot travel lane in both lanes, probably be both lanes around the roundabout, exercising a speed of approximately 25 miles per hour. And then also in the center will be a mountable curb to allow the trucks to go over the curb in the event they need a wider turning radius.
Thank you.
Bill?
Mayor Rankin?
No, excuse me.
Just a note, if we're gonna allow the town manager to make any minor modifications after, I want to make sure that we get something that tracks the changes on the original contract, so if you could provide that to us.
Councilmember Sly, absolutely. If any changes are made by the manager, there'll be council will be notified.
And Tommy, are we talking strictly on the liability insurance portion?
Anything that changes off of this, any of the negotiations that occur after we adopt this.
Because who has the final say on the design?
Wayne could probably address this better, but I know we have a great deal of input, if not final say. But Wayne, could you address that, please?
Well, yes, Mayor Rankin, Vice Mayor Smith, Town Council. Basically, we also have the ability to comment on the approval of any design associated with the roundabout, similar to 79 to 79B. We have provided comments on 79, 79B previously, and will do so on the roundabout at State Highway 287 and 79B. Incidentally, when we presented this project, we would present areas of the project back to CAG and for the TIP program back in 2005, and presented all the data associated with A, the design of the roundabout, B, the reason for the roundabout, and C, how to address the various intersections that approach that roundabout. So yes, we will have input into the design, and we intend to make it safe, allow heavy-duty trucks and to make the maneuverability into this roundabout area, and most importantly, to address the 7 or 8 intersections that intertwine with that. Specifically, access to the Burger King, Keating Road, Florence Heights Boulevard, Canal Road, Campbell Road, all will be addressed in the roundabout.
And in your opinion, there's not going to be the need to acquire additional land for this?
No, not at that diameter, or I mentioned earlier, being 200 feet being the innermost diameter. I think we actually measured at least 320 feet when we did the system analysis of the roundabout back a while ago. But there's more than sufficient room to handle that without acquiring any right-of-way.
And Jess, this is just at designing and engineering stages. It doesn't have anything to do with the construction, which will come down later, which we'll have to work with ADOT on that.
Mayor Rankin, members of the council, that's absolutely correct. This is simply an IGA set up for design of that intersection. There's no obligation for construction either on ADOT's behalf or on the town's behalf.
Well, the reason I'm, hesitant is the way they did us on the 79B out there. They ignored anything we wanted, and in fact, they stood here and laughed at us that night. It was pretty ridiculous. So I don't really, ADOT, I don't have a lot of trust in them at this point.
And my concern is you look at the roundabouts that they put in Wickenburg, which is, there's 2 of them, and they're confusing more than they are helping. And when you go through there, a lot of times you miss your turn, and those are 2-lane roundabouts, and they don't give you an option with ADOT. They did try to force the 2-lane roundabouts in the town of Sedona, and Sedona fought it to only limit it to a 1-lane. So that's just a big concern. I could understand if they're going to put the liability on us to have a choice, but they don't usually give us a choice. It's strictly, here it is, and this is what you get. And then they want us to claim the liability? I don't believe in that.
Councilmember Montoya, What you have here is our ability to have direct input on the design of the intersection. So if there are great concerns with the design, through our town engineer, we're going to have that ability to provide that same type of input that the city of Sedona had on their roundabouts. So, ADOT, and we've seen firsthand some of that approach from ADOT, take it or leave it. This is not one of those examples of that type of mentality. So, as Wayne indicated, we were given input on design for the 79 and 79B intersection south of town, and we fully expect that same type of partnership with ADOT on that level moving forward. So, and if I can, not trying to advocate for any type of council decision, but I just want to address the council in this manner with regards to the current situation of that intersection. We are seeing, while we're not seeing a large degree of fatalities at that intersection, we are seeing a large number of accidents that occur at that intersection. Any local residents have firsthand seen vehicles going down the wrong way, and the issues that are contained with the current design. It frankly just does not work. So the concerns with regards to the roundabout and the confusion that it might hold are just, and they're valid. But as from town staff's perspective, we do agree it's an improvement, more so than what we have here today.
Well, another thing, like on the 79B, I said, why don't they try the better signage out there, or a two-way stop? And they said, oh, that's more dangerous. Well, they didn't even try it. And I'm wondering on this, with people going down the wrong way, better signage, and on the pavement, they could have arrows, which they do, and I've seen them around up in Phoenix or wherever, painted right on the pavement so people know this is the direction you go. And on the opposite side, you have an arrow pointing the opposite way, so you know not to enter that. But, ADOT doesn't even seem to want to try a trial period or whatever. I don't see the intersection being that bad, other than there are people that get on the wrong side sometimes. But the way they've got the signage there, you turn it into the dollar store, they got an arrow pointing that way. Well, a lot of people coming from Coolidge, never been here before or whatever, they see that arrow, they think, oh, I got to go over that way, and they end up going into that one way. If they had an arrow on the pavement pointing straight ahead and one on the opposite, but I don't know. I don't know that a roundabout's going to be any better than what we've got there now. A lot of people get confused with roundabouts just as much as they do with what we have there now. But,
Bill, 79B and 79 is a different off the subject a little bit, but as far as ADOT cooperating
off
with
the
us.
subject, as far as of my experience with ADOT, that's all I was using that for.
And I've got a lot of experience with them too, and I know that what you're saying is true. But here we're in a situation where we actually have input into the design and say yay or nay, just as Sedona did. In Payson, I was in Payson this weekend, and going from Payson to Strawberry Pine, there's two roundabouts there, and they're both two-lane roundabouts. Casa Grande's got them also. Once people learn to drive on a roundabout, I'll be very honest with you, it makes it a lot faster, in my opinion, and a lot safer going through there without having to come to a stop and wait for somebody else to go through. Maricopa's got them in the subdivisions over there. Casa Grande's got them. And like I said, I was in Payson, and it was really easy for me to drive those. And we have the final say. All we're doing is asking for the engineering and the study to be done, and we're paying for that through our tip money that prior councils, prior to us, like, when did this start? 2005?
Yeah, it was definitely in the...
2005. Set that as a priority for the town in the future and into the CIP project and into the TIP program with CAG. we've got $600 and some thousand there that should cover the engineering and design for this. It's up to us, after getting it, to push for ADOT to do it or not to do it. If they've come back with something that's got overpasses or tunnels and stuff like that, that, you know, that don't make any sense, we can say, whoa, wait a minute. If they come back with something that doesn't fit the driveways to Burger King, that doesn't fit to Tune Lou, Mike Ramirez's business right there on the corner, if it doesn't fit into the entrance to the churches in that area, we have that opportunity as a council when it comes back to say yay or nay and to work with ADOT to get it straightened out.
Okay, your point about once you get used to it, it's easy to do. Well, that's the point. We have a lot of people come into the town for the first time. Their first time here, they're not going to have time to practice at it, you know.
Well,
So,
I understand that, but there's a lot of people that do come from areas that do have
I
roundabouts.
think
that
better
are-
signage, it'd be a real cheap experiment and to see if it would work, but
Well, I, for one,
we
know-
could get them to do that in the
Call for the
meantime.
question. Can we call for the question?
Okay, is there any other discussion?
When will this come back in front of council? At what point?
I didn't recognize call for the question. We're not through discussion, I'm sorry.
This is an item that is appearing on this agenda for action tonight.
Right. Now, will this come back to council once the planning and so on has been done? Or is that, no?
Wayne, or can you address that, please? The design is going to be, it's an 18-month period is what we project this to be. So over the next 18 months after work has started, you know, that will be the town and our town engineer will be commenting on this. But as far as this, the final design coming back to council, I don't believe that's the case unless, Wayne, you see that differently?
Yeah, Mayor Rankin, Vice Mayor Smith, Town Council. Basically, what we'll do is we'll initiate progress reports and report to council in written documents, basically indicating the status of the project with ADOT's consultant engineer and where we stand and what our input was. I want to address the 2 points that Councilman Hawkins addressed, at least one point. The manual uniform traffic control devices, we typically, in a difficult intersection, invoke all the standard and optional pavement marking and signage. They have a certain chapter strictly for roundabouts. That's basically governed by the Federal Highway Administration. So basically all the signage, all the pavement markings, the stripings will have all the bells and whistles. My second point is, and I think many of us know, is that pedestrian crossings takes place in many of, at this location. And it's important for us to have a safety islands, et cetera, to acknowledge the students and the pedestrians that make the crossing on this future roundabout. That encompasses additional signage and provides safety islands for the pedestrians. So that's our intent, produce a progress report so that council can address that, and I'll address it in council in a presentation, and then two, have a written document to indicate what our recommendations were and the results of that recommendation with the consultant.
So this is really the council's vote now on whether to put this roundabout in or not.
Pardon?
For the study and
Yes?
design.
The council tonight is taking action on an agreement with ADOT to start the design process for improvements at that intersection. As Wayne indicated, you know, the design is not going to come back before council for final approval, but we're going to be working with ADOT for the next 18 months, and we want council to be apprised of what the progress is. And as Wayne just indicated, we'll be informing council as we go throughout this process what the updates are, where we stand with this intersection, as well as other ADOT intersections. So, you know, as we have in other projects, the staff and the council are going to work closely together, and we will take the direction of council as we move forward on this project.
As the project goes forward, we can ask for a special meeting with the engineers, a work session to meet with them, and they have always in the past done that. I have no problem with it. Okay, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the execution of the intergovernmental agreement with the Arizona Department of Transportation for the design of a roundabout at the intersection of SR 287 and SR 79B.
Second.
And if I remember right, you would like that on there about the town manager with any
Notifications of any changes.
notification of any changes,
Yes.
and to notify the council right away with them, right, Tom? Okay. And we have a second? I'll second it.
No, we already did.
Is it already seconded? Okay. I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Nay. Nay. Call for a roll call vote.
Yeah.
And let's take it.
Councilmember Walters?
Aye.
Councilmember Hawkins?
Nay.
Councilmember Woolridge?
Aye.
Councilmember Sly?
Aye.
Councilmember Montano?
Nay.
Vice Mayor Smith?
Nay.
Mayor Rankin?
Aye.
Motion has carried.
You need a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Item 15, new business.
Lisa, we're going to take, I've been asked to request 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Call the meeting back to order.
Item 15, item A, resolution number 140213, discussion approval, disapproval of a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, adopting the Town of Florence 2013-14 employee compensation and classification plans and declaring an emergency. Our HR Director, Scott Barber, will be handling this item for you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, staff is recommending this evening that you approve the employee compensation and classification plans for the upcoming fiscal year. This is really more of a housekeeping item than anything. It's information you've seen, and we have historically brought this to you separate from the budget. So we're asking for your approval this evening in advance of a July 1 start of our new upcoming fiscal year. Glad to answer any questions you have.
Any member of the council have any question for Scott?
I have a question is, if it's just a housekeeping item, why is it considered an emergency?
The fact that it is applicable to July 1st is the reason for the emergency clause.
Tara?
Scott, we've had conversations last year. We brought this new salary schedule about, and we identified that there's areas that need to be addressed in terms where the compression went awry. What is our plan in addressing this for the future?
Based on the review of information, we did make a statistical or an arithmetic calculation for a compression adjustment last year, and also made some adjustments to the construction of the salary schedule. And certainly in the current, the budget development for 13-14, we did a limited market survey with some of our more solid position classifications and didn't find any variances specifically that would require immediate attention. Councilmember Walter, Town Manager Montoya directed that some funds be reserved in the budget upcoming to address more significant issues that are revealed, if any, as we move ahead in the year with some of the reviews and analyses that are either underway or are planned. We've also recognized the need for a more comprehensive look at our employee compensation and classification, which we hope to do at some point in the near future. In the meantime, with the significant changes in leadership in our organization, we would ask for a little patience as we move forward in these types of situations.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Scott, thank you very much. I know you've only been with us a short time, but we would like to have this brought up to date again next year if we can, before we get where it's not an emergency, where we have time to look at it prior to the budget coming up before us.
I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution number 1402-13.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to pass resolution 140213. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 15B is being pulled off the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Item 15C, discussion approval, disapproval to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract to purchase APN number 200-41-0170 Ophelia A. Padilla's Living Trust property for the amount of $32,500 and to complete all documents related to this conveyance. Town Attorney James Donato will be handling this item.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Yes, this item relates to the purchase of assessor's parcel number 200-41017. It's owned by the Ophelia A. Padilla Living Trust. Pursuant to the council's direction, we went forward and we negotiated a purchase of this parcel with Cecilia Petty and Henry Padilla, who are the successor trustees of that trust and are authorized to conduct those type of transactions on behalf of the trust. We presented them with an appraisal which demonstrated the appraiser's opinion that the property was valued at $1.79 per square foot, being 18,125 square feet. We arrived at an offering price of $32,500. And I'm happy to say that Mr. Padilla and Ms. Petty accepted that offer, whereupon I drafted this purchase contract. They have reviewed it and they have approved of the terms of the contract. The only other consideration is we're just asking that the town manager be authorized to sign the contract on behalf of the town, in which case, if all that is approved by the council tonight, then we will have Mr. Padilla and Ms. Petty stop by Town Hall tomorrow. We'll sign all the documents and remit to them a check from the finance department in the amount of $32,500, and then the deed will be recorded on Thursday after Mr. Montoya comes back to the town hall. He is currently traveling from Colorado, and I would expect he'll be here on Thursday. He'll execute the contract on behalf of the town, and then we'll go ahead, record the deed, and that will close escrow and consummate the transaction.
Any member of the council have any questions? All I can say is, and I like the one part in there that there will be some sort of a plaque in some portion of the park to Ophelia. Is that correct?
That's right, Mayor. If you look at paragraph 35 of the contract, it said the property shall be named by the purchaser as Padilla Park at Silver King Plaza. Ms. Petty and Mr. Padilla are, I believe, are in agreement with that. How it actually gets accomplished, I'll leave that to greater minds than myself, but I imagine it would be some type of plaque or other type of appropriate signage.
For the purpose of growth in Florence around the Silver King, this purchase is very important to the town. I'd like to publicly, before we go on, well, let's do the vote first. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract to purchase APN 200-41-0170 Ophelia A. Padilla Living Trust property for an amount of $32,500 and to complete all documents related to this conveyance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the town manager to enter in a contract purchase for APN 200-41-0170, the Ophelia A. Padilla Living Trust property for an amount of $32,500 and to complete all documents related to this conveyance. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Kids, and I can call you kids even though because you're younger than I am, on behalf of the town and the town council, thank you very much for going along with the bid and not holding this up. I think your aunt would have been very, very proud of the actions you've taken. She was a lady, a well-respected lady in this community, and we're proud to be able to do something in honor of her over there that will also benefit all of the town of Florence. Thank you very much, kids. Manager report. Do we have one?
Town manager has no report tonight.
Okay. Second call to the public. This is the second call to the public with the same as we had in the first. Anybody from the public have anything they'd like to talk about? Hearing none, I'll close the public, call to the council. Tara?
I would like to take this time to thank, first of all, I'm going to end with you, Becky. Thank you, Wayne. You took the time to answer and address all of my concerns relating to the transfer station. Immediately prompt responses. I greatly appreciate that. Becky, I cannot tell you how much it meant to me that you took the time multiple times to sit down with me, to email back and forth with me about the difference between the bonds, the GO bonds, and you made sure that I completely understood everything. So thank you. We are going to miss you. I know this part is coming up next, but we are going to miss you deeply. You have done a great service to the town of Florence, and thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure to serve you.
Bill?
Yes, I'd like to second that. She's done a great job, and we're going to miss her dearly. We hate to see you go.
Darren?
Of course, Becky knows how I feel about her. She's my neighbor too, so she won't get rid of me. But I appreciate what you've done for the town. I appreciate you making sure that we are always, that we have been fiscally responsible. She makes sure that we don't overspend, and I appreciate that about you, and I hope that you've transferred that information on to the person following you so that we can always make sure that we're taking care of the citizens of the town of Florence so that we can provide the necessary services. But you enjoy your retirement. I'm jealous, but enjoy it. It's been a pleasure working with you for the last 9 years.
Thank you.
Mike, you got your directions. Tommy?
Yeah, there's, just like to express my thanks and on all of the things that you've done for us. I've been with you here for 9 years, I think, and you've always done an outstanding job. We've been a very fiscal, responsible council, and I appreciate your guidance on many things. So, thank you.
Ruben?
Yes, Becky, it's been interesting to see you here quite all these years. You know, from years ago when you started and we were involved with Little League, you and Jess, and watching the boys grow up. It's good to see the family here, you know, to see them here support you, as well as a lot of your staff that are here to support you tonight. The other thing I'd also like to recommend or make recommendation to or recognition to is Ernie Feliz for your pursuance of the 1897 building, since you were with the county for years wanting to restore it, and Tom Salaya, who's been in charge of the administrator for facilities, and his staff that have been working on that building, you know, for Florence to be recognized for this county building. But these two individuals spent a long time, for years, trying to prepare for this remodeling, and I'd like to recognize both of you for the work that you guys did.
Good job, Ernie.
Tom?
Becky, it's been a long time together. I think you remember when I came in, I said, I won't balance for an unbalanced budget. I won't vote for it. You kept us there. You did it well.
Thank you.
And you and your family enjoy your retirement. But remember, we're all still in town. Say hi.
I'm not going to say anything about you at this time. I got that coming up here pretty quick. I did want to report to the public on the closure of Highway 79 and 79B. I attended an ADOT meeting and again requested it to be opened. I attended that meeting Friday morning in Pine Top. What we're going to get out of it, I don't know, but I can tell you in the budget that will be adopted by the state of Arizona Department of Transportation Board, it should be approved. I think it's going to be on the 26th because some changes were made in it. Did allocate in the budget for 13-14 money to design that intersection out on that end of town, and the construction money in 14-15 to go in. They brought it up from 16. They've dropped it back a year, so we should be designing that. The engineering study and the design on that one is going to be a little bit different due to the fact that they have to do the archaeological work out in that area. But we still are not, I'm not happy with it because we haven't been able to get it open, but got another plan of attack. It's going to include the chief of police and public works director, and we're going to go at him again. So we did meet with the ADOT engineer from Tucson, a new engineer that just came on board. He won't present any facts or figures, won't do any traffic study that hadn't been done since 2008 was the last one. And when we asked him whose decision it was to close it, he said mine, and that was it. He can't give me any kind of literature or anything to back it up. So with that, we're going to go to council item 12C.
Retirement award presented to Becky Galeen, Finance Director, for 19 years of dedicated service. Mayor Rankin, will you please come down?
Yeah. First of all, Becky, it's been a long time, and it's kind of hard saying goodbye, but we're not saying goodbye. We're just saying thanks for the job you did for Florence. You know, when a lot of you may not know it, but I had the opportunity in 1994 to hire this little girl from Blythe, California, that came in begging for a job, looking for a job, not begging, looking for a job. And I interviewed her. I was the interim manager at the time. And 19 years later, we're getting to say goodbye. I'm just proud I'm back to be able to do this for you. But before I get into anything for you, Mark, you want to come on up? That's Mark Reeder.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Good evening. Good evening, Becky. I think most of you know who I am. My name is Mark Reeder, and I'm with the investment banking firm of Stifel Nicholas. And I've had the privilege of working with the town for 20 years and working very closely with Becky for that same period of time. And we all know a finance director's position is varied. Payroll, financial statements, budgets, you name it, the finance director does it. So I haven't worked with Becky in all those disciplines, but I've worked with Becky, as you all know, very, very closely in connection with the sale of bonds for the district and your community facilities districts really over the last 20 years. I started working with Becky back in 95, 96. And so I, like the mayor, have had a long run with Becky, and it's certainly been something that I've been extremely proud of to be involved with her. So in connection with that, my other colleague that you see me down here with a lot, Michael Cafizo, he's the gentleman with the bow tie, if you remember. And he used to wear a bow tie, but the mayor will no longer allow that, so he just comes down with just a regular shirt on now. So Michael and I have both worked closely together with Becky. Michael's on the legal side, I'm on the financial side, as you know. And so Michael and I got together, and we prepared a tribute to Becky based on several of her accomplishments relative to primarily bond transactions, and then we also have some personal notes that we put into the tribute. So with that, Mayor, if you don't mind, and when I first started working with Becky back in 1994, 1995, I didn't need glasses, but but now I do. So we have a plaque here. Maybe if you could show the council as well real quick, and then I'll just kind of show people what each represents. Hang in there, Becky. We know you don't like public adulation, but just hang in there with us for a few more minutes. So this is a memento we put together. It's obviously a tribute. It's something that Becky can put on her wall at home, or maybe leave here at Town Hall. It's your choice. And so what we did here is at the top it says, a tribute to Becky Galeen, Finance Director, Town of Florence, Arizona, and District Treasurer, Merrill Ranch, Community Facilities District number 1 and number 2, a big part of your community, as you all know. And on the left-hand side here is an official statement cover that Becky's very familiar with. This is the bond offering document that we use to sell our bonds to investors. This was a transaction we did back in 2010 for about $3.6 million. And one of the reasons why I picked this, Becky, which I have on your accomplishments, is this is the first CFD bond that was rated. And so we wanted to put that on there. That's on the left-hand side. And then on the bottom of the right-hand side, we put an aerial view of Merrill Ranch CFD number 1 and number 2. It's got the district boundaries, and you've all seen that before in some of the documents. So as far as our tribute to Becky relative to some of her accomplishments, we kind of went in, we tried to go in chronological order. And so it all kind of started back in 1994 when Becky, probably working with the interim town manager at the time, would be my guess, worked hard on the acquisition of the Arizona Sierra Utility Company, which was a difficult transaction as I understand it. The formation of a North Florence Improvement District and the subsequent issuance of special assessment bonds, and that gave the town the opportunity, I think, to be in the utility business for the first time. Is that right, Mayor? Thank you. So in 1997, we worked on a certificate of participation issue with Becky to finance Town Hall, and there were some police improvements, and I believe some court improvements on that. And I believe, and in connection with that, we were able to get the town's first credit rating since the town incorporated in 1908, and so that was fun working on that transaction, and the town securing a very strong underlying credit rating on that transaction. That's all been paid off now, which is always good. Then moving forward in the early 2000s, Becky was very involved in the creation of the community facilities districts. The districts had not yet been formed yet, but it took, as many people in this room know, took several years to negotiate the development agreements, and to form the actual districts out there back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I believe those districts were ultimately formed in 2005. And so that was kind of a long run, as you recall, Becky, how we were going back and forth, and so those districts were formed in 2005. And I don't know if a lot of people in town know that, but I believe that's the largest land mass, the largest community facilities district in the state. And those will take another 20, 30, 40, 50 years to build out that property, as you all know. But they're huge districts at about almost 9,000 acres. Since the districts were formed in 2005, we worked very closely with Becky on the issuance of 14 separate bond transactions. I didn't know that we'd worked on that many, Becky, till I literally added them up. And in front of this board and other boards, we issued 14 separate bond transactions to finance public infrastructure within Merrill Ranch, and that totaled to about $17 million for those 14 issues. And then another one we put on here was Becky was very instrumental in Merrill Ranch CFD securing the first investment grade credit rating on our CFDs about 5 years after the districts were formed in 2010. And Becky was instrumental in a new bond structure that we put together with Becky's close attention and council support via the installment purchase structure of our special assessment bonds, which we considered this evening. Very, very innovative structure in which the town does not issue bonds, and so there's no interest accruing. So very, very efficient way to sell the bonds, which we'll do later, but during the development process, we actually don't issue bonds and incur cost to carry. And so Becky was very instrumental in working with the team to develop that structure, and I think that's a structure we're for the most part, pretty proud of. And I think one thing I would add on this, Becky, I was just thinking about it, sitting there, is that all of this really kind of happened, if you remember in 2005, things were going pretty well. The districts were formed. Pulte and the community was feeling pretty good about growth. And you all know what happened really starting in what, 07? In 2007 and 2008, all heck broke loose. And I was just thinking about it, that we actually issued the majority of these 14 bond transactions during kind of really the Great Recession. And things were kind of still going on. Pulte was still kind of building, and they were wanting to keep their momentum. And we all had to work together through all the different, technical issues relative to the Great Recession. And so, Becky, I'm not sure if maybe you recall all that, what's going on. But we were all able to work together as a team with your town and your staff and your council to get a lot of this stuff I just mentioned successfully completed. So as it relates to kind of memories, Mike and I had a chance to have lunch, as I mentioned, and I just like to read 4 or 5 things that we'll walk away from with Becky, and I think a lot of you all will agree with this. First one we have is Becky is a professional woman with high integrity who deeply cares for the town of Florence and its citizens. Becky is a woman who worked very, very hard for the town, and you all seen that. Just a real hard worker for the town because she cared so much. Becky was a woman, as I mentioned earlier, willing to consider new and improved ways of doing business, if only in the best interest of her community. So from time to time, we'd run things by Becky. Sometimes she wasn't receptive. And most of the time she tried to have an open mind, but sometimes we'd throw some stuff out and she'd just say no, and that was fine. But if we had something that had some degree of you know, efficiency, if you will, for the town or for others who work for the town, she was all ears. And the last one we have here is Becky is a woman who was tough when she needed to be, but also very loyal, fair, caring, respectful, and has a great heart. And so those are 4 or 5 things that we'll remember you by.
Thank you so much.
Okay?
This is just such an honor. I appreciate it. You know how I feel about you and Michael.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Well, thank you for having me down, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to be part of the presentation. And Becky, we hope you enjoy your memento going forward. We hope to see you around. Thank you, Mayor.
Mark, thank you very much. Like I said, 19 years ago, I had the opportunity to interview an applicant for the job. In fact, I think, according to what Scott gave me here as notes, March 7th, 1994 is when you came to work. Becky's family was from Florence, on her mom's side?
My dad.
Your dad's side. And after talking to her and doing it, I thought that she was the right lady for the job. Here we are, 19 years, I guess I was right, and well, I hope I was. You can tell by your staff's attending, and they're not on overtime.
No.
Yeah, well, you should get on to us about that if that was the truth. Oh, well, get up and go then. She's going to leave our town in a lot better position than it was when you came. Oh, we had some good times back in those days. There's another mayor here that you served under. Marcia, come on up. Whoever she was, she come after you, right? Oh, you were on the council though, weren't you? Yeah, come on up. No sense in me hogging all the glory. No, it's Becky we're celebrating. Marcia, would you like to say something about Becky?
Sure. I had the pleasure of working with Becky from 1995 to 2000. We had some fun times, we had good times, but she, like everybody said, she kept us fiscally straight, and she, along with John Geib, had this town in such good condition. She had us trained what we could do, what we couldn't do, and it's a pleasure for me to be here to honor you. And I have to say, are we recording?
Yes.
I haven't been to a full council meeting since I left, so I came for you.
Well, I had the pleasure of working with Becky between the years of 96 and 04, so it was 8 years. And I can honestly say that she is a true credit to her profession as a finance director for local government. And in my opinion, she did an outstanding job of not only maintaining but also managing the town's finances.
Thank you.
And you're going to enjoy retirement too, believe me.
You know, Becky came with no experience in government. You're all aware of that. She had no experience in government, town government whatsoever. You've been with the hospital.
Yes, I had a hospital background.
A hospital background.
And farming.
And farming. Which doesn't have anything to do with it, government. Oh, well, grants, yeah, and loans and stuff like that. But she took the job to heart, and she threw herself into it. And she has created such an office now that Mike, I hope in 19 years I'm still alive and could say the same thing about you. But if you'd have been here in those days, like I said, you know, the town was in pretty bad shape. You saw who the interim manager was. But we were broke. I mean, we didn't have a lot of money, and that's when we had more booze in the vault than money. Remember those days? But Becky learned the job. She educated herself for it. And not only did she became an example for other financial people in the state of Arizona. And Becky, on behalf of the town council, we have a couple of little things for you. First, here's this, put this in your, Dwayne, we're gonna get some picture of you two. No, come on.
We're not, we don't need to have our pictures taken.
Oh, yeah, you do. I think it's appropriate that 3 mayors that she served under, or 2 mayors and a council person, be here to say goodbye to her. I think, and I wish Vicki, she was here earlier, but she had to leave. But anyway, don't lose that, and don't let the kids get a hold of it. And then, on behalf of the council, we'd, you know, and I don't know, and let me tell you, I had to threaten her to get her here tonight. I really did. Becky is not she's not, yeah, right. She's more nuts and bolts, and let's get it done. But Becky, on behalf of myself, my council, we all appreciate all the work that you've done for us over the years. Without you to guide us sometimes, we'd have overspent and had this town in trouble. But with your knowledge and your experience and your foresight, we're where we're at today, and I think we're in pretty good financial shape myself.
Very good.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here is our retiree, Becky Galene.
I do want to thank you very much for giving me a job. I actually wanted a little desk in the corner, but I always inherit these kind of jobs, and I done a little cash show over the years. I think we didn't even have $50,000.
If you're going to be a public speaker, you got to keep it right.
I think we had $50,000 maybe in the bank when I first started here. Now we're in excess of $50 million, and we're very, very strong. And I do thank all the council for supporting me. I've just had a lovely time, learned a lot, but most of all, I'm nothing without my staff. They work hard for me, all of them. And I really appreciate it, girls. I'm gonna miss you. I don't think I can say any more.
You don't have to say any more. That says it all. Afterwards, we do have a reception set up outside with some punch and cake. Need a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have motion and second to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We're adjourned.